have you, and rode them around the fields, jumping up in the air to show the crops how high to grow. It was obviously a form of sympathetic magic. And the church, looking at this, said, look at them, they're riding these poles around the fields, obviously to blast the crops. Must be the work of the devil, and they obviously ride these looking at them jumping up in the air, they said, well, they're obviously trying to take off, they must ride these poles through the air. So this was all part of the propaganda. The tall pointed witch's hat was another one, the witch's cauldron. There's so many things which the Christian church took and distorted and parodied and made it, the pagan population look bad.
But wouldn't anybody with a stomach immediately have to think about the fact that it was their food that they were doing this to?
You would think so, wouldn't you? But of course, the Christians, and this is the problem with that form of religion, it was the priesthood that was in power, and they told the people, literally told the people what to think and how to think. And if the priesthood said that this is what these people are doing, then the followers would agree and would say, okay, yes, so that must be what they're doing. It's from this viewpoint, from today looking back, it does seem ridiculous that so much would be taken as truth, but that was the way it was in those days.
Okay. Now, in the July 2004 interview with the Chesapeake Pagan Community Gathering in South Africa, Janet Farrar stated that Alex Sanders gave her and Stuart Farrar their first, second, and third degrees in just 9 months. What is your view on the minimum amount of time someone should study before getting their first, second, or third degree?
Well, of course, the traditional time is a year and a day between each. In fact, a year and a day even before the first degree, a year and a day studying and questioning and deciding that you really want to come into the craft, and then being initiated into the first degree, then at least a year and a day before the next degree, and so on. But there are exceptions to this, and this is what happened with Janet and Stuart and with Alexander's. Alexander's was wanting them to get out and spread the word, as it were, to really boost Alexandrian witchcraft. And Janet and Stuart were very enthused about it. I know Janet very well, and I've spoken with her about this. They were very enthused about it, and they really wanted to get covens going and to spread the word. And this was back, of course, when there was a need to spread the craft more. There were not that many covens at that time. Now, I went through a similar sort of thing, in fact, even more intense, because at the time that I was initiated in 1963, there were no covens at all in this country, and this is why Gerald particularly wanted to get some started. So I went to Scotland, and Gerald got together with, I think there was Lady Alwyn, who was Nikki, Monique Wilson, with Ray Bone, with Doreen Valiente, and with Patricia Crowther. I think they were the four priestesses that he discussed it with, and they agreed that an exception should be made, and I should be given a sort of crash course. So when I went to Scotland, I was initiated and went through the degrees in a period of about a month. So it was even faster than Janet and Stuart went through theirs. But this was because Gerald felt it was necessary to get me established and get me back to this country so that we could start Wicca here. It was a rough way of doing it. It really was. I would much rather have had the long route of a year and a day between each, but it was something that had to be done. Well, the same thing with Janet and Stuart then. I think Alex Sanders felt that it had to be done, and Alfares felt that it had to be done in order to get Alexandrian established and spreading. So it can be done, it is done on rare occasions, but I don't think it's a good idea. I think that it's much better to spend the year and a day in each degree, and even before going into the degrees.
Okay. I was curious, is there anything about eclecticism that gives you pause or cause for concern?
Well, yes, there is. And this is a very difficult question, a very difficult situation when we get into eclecticism. Originally, by originally I mean back in the 60s when I first started Wicca here, it was a very slow process. Gerald's books were the first ones to come out and to proclaim that witchcraft was still alive and well, and that this was an alternate religion. And of course there are lots of people who responded like myself saying, wow, this is what we've been looking for. Let's get into this. We want to be a part of it. So lots of people who wanted to be a part of the craft at that time, and of course there weren't covens all over the place for them to come in. So we tried hard to get things going as quickly as possible. At that time, some people got tired of waiting, or tired of trying to contact any coven. Round about, let's see, I think it was about 67, 68, 1967, 68, something like that. The book and the movie Rosemary's Baby came out, and Ira Levin wrote that using the words witch and witchcraft in it when he was talking about Satanists. Mm-hmm. And people read the book, saw that movie, and thought, so this is what witchcraft is all about. And a lot of people decided that they would start their own covens based partly on what they saw in the movie, based perhaps on some of ceremonial magic, ritual magic, and odds and ends. So there were a lot of eclectic covens that started even at that time. Now, since then, the craft has spread, and there's been a lot of what you might view as more authentic witchcraft, like Gardnerian and Alexandrian, Celtic, Druidic, Saxon, a lot of solid Wicca, which has some sort of background to it. Mm-hmm. But there's still a lot of eclectic groups. And really, there's no reason why there shouldn't be. As I said earlier in this talk, we're all different. We all have different needs. Some of us want a lot of ritual. Some of us want things very, very simple. And in order to satisfy personal needs, you need to adapt and adopt. You need to take something and change it so that it suits you absolutely. So eclecticism certainly comes in there. Now, the thing is, where does it stop? Where do we draw the line? Because we've really got to the point now, and your question was, well, does this give me pause or cause for concern? And my concern is that we've got to the point where really anybody can do anything and say, hey, I'm a witch practicing Wicca or practicing witchcraft. And who's to say that they're not? Mm-hmm. I mean, they're doing what is right for them. But the trouble is they might be doing things which have absolutely no connection to Wicca at all. It might be purely magic. It might be just doing spells. So many people today are carried away by shows on television and movies and just want to work spells, do magic, and make my boyfriend fall in love with me, that sort of thing, and think that makes them a witch.
Which is completely against free will.
Yeah, sorry.
Which is completely against free will.
Absolutely, yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. That is. I mean, working magic to make someone fall in love with you is actually black magic. Yes, it's negative magic. But this is why I think with eclecticism there is cause for concern. Just how far does it go? Where do you draw the line? And it is not easy to draw a line there.
Yeah, because basically it would be a case of how much water can you put in a soup and have it still be soup.
Really? Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good parallel. Yes.
Okay. Now, how much of an impact do you think the personal computer has had on the craft? And do you feel that impact has been positive or negative?
Well, it's been both. It's had a very large impact, as it has on life generally. It has a good positive impact insofar as it's a wonderful way of getting out information to so many people so quickly. It has a negative impact in that there's no guarantee as